Well, hello and welcome. This is your host for the Voices of Courage show, Ken D. Foster. Hope you're having a brilliant day today. And if you're not, maybe this show is going to help uplift your life, uplift your thinking, and you'll be able to start your day right over feeling really good. Today, I have a subject that is near and dear to my heart. We're going to call this show The Courage to Overcome Cancer. And I personally just lost a very close friend to cancer this year who I'd known for 30 years. And there's reason for that, right? There's reasons. And, there's reasons that we can heal our challenges, whether it be cancer or any other health challenge. So today we're going to dedicate the show to giving you some insight into maybe what you need to do to overcome your fears around cancer, step into your courage, step out of the box if you've been having a health challenge for a while, chronic health illnesses, right? And step into a new way of thinking about this, okay? I love allopathic medicine. It's great. I mean, if I need my arm, if I have a broken arm, and I've had broken arms and messed up legs, I go see a MD and I do an MRI and I get what's wrong with me, right? When I need tests done on my body, right? I need to know what my health numbers are. And I'm going to a allopathic doctor, an MD, right? But there's a certain limitation with our medicine today in Western medicine. And so what I know is that when you can combine Eastern and Western understanding and Eastern and Western medicine, whether it's combining it with an asana through yoga, whether it's combining with a holistic program or a naturopath, when you start to combine those things, it gets much more powerful for you. So even if you have a diagnosis that this is it, fourth stage cancer, you're not going to be able to heal this, you're done, go home, there's hope for you too. So stay tuned to this show. I'm going to be interviewing one of my favorite people on the planet today who actually had stage 4 cancer and healed it, right? I think it was stage 4. Well, it was definitely, he was going down the tubes because he had also had a heart attack at the same time. So we will be right back. And when I do, I'm going to introduce my guest for today. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. Today, my guest is Johann Ilgenfritz. And Johann, welcome. It's great to see you.
Hello, Ken. Hi. Lovely to be here with you. Thank you.
So great to have you. Let me introduce you to my audience a little bit because I think you got such a powerful story. Johann worked successfully as a fashion photographer for almost 20 years in Hamburg and London. Then in 2011, his life changed dramatically when he had a heart attack and 6 months later was diagnosed with cancer. After unsuccessful radiotherapy, he left to find other survival options, which he did. During the search for a cure, he turned to the internet, soon realizing that there was no one at a central point where he could turn to health information, regardless of what health issues there are. So he decided on creating a platform, and 6 weeks later, he launched the platform that I'm on and so many others are on. Millions of people are listening to it, which is UK Health Radio. So he's still fighting his cancer at this time, but listen, he's a survivor and he's making this work for himself and his family. Johann, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ken.
Let's tell you, what a story you had. I mean, heart attack and then diagnosed with cancer and my goodness. And you went down the traditional allopathic way for a while. And, I guess the results were not optimal for you. So let's talk about that. What's your journey here?
Yeah, as you mentioned, 2011, beginning of 2011, I had a heart attack on the tennis court. And then 6 months later, I call it my first diagnosis because of the difference in me between the first and the second time, because there were basically two diagnoses. So yeah, the first one came actually because the doctors were trying, myself actually, were trying to work out why I wasn't feeling better after the heart attack. So that was the first diagnosis, and I have to admit it was really it was tumble dryer for me. It felt like I was in one of those big tumble dryers with about 300 other people. I didn't know where top or bottom was. I stumbled into and I call it stumble because I just followed the advice I had given for no other reason, actually. I stumbled into radiotherapy. I did 2 sets of radiotherapy all together. And in October of that year, I was given the cancer free, which was amazing. But I have to tell you, I had this feeling of not being part of the process the whole time. That stayed with me. It didn't go away at all. It just stayed with me. That feeling of, I had no duties to do while I was going through the radiotherapy. Nobody told me, follow this diet or don't. Nobody said to me, exercise or don't. But the important part was I didn't ask either. And as I said, I had this feeling of just not being part of this whole my health process.
Well, let me stop you there for a second, because I think there's a piece here that I think is very interesting. So were you before this, were you paying attention to your body much? Were you like, exercising and eating healthy, or were you, what was going on with you? And, it seems like, so I'd like to ask you about that. What was happening before, pre-heart attack?
Yeah, pre-heart attack. I've always played sports. I love tennis. I've always played tennis. My sister was a professional tennis player, so I basically grew up on a tennis court. She's older, so I was always the tag along. And I'm not very good at it, but I love the sport. I love watching it. I love playing it. But the photography, the fashion industry is not the healthiest on the planet. Let's face it. And this, it's not only the hours, it's not only the traveling, it's not only what all goes on in the shoot. It's also the pressure, the stress that all fashion photographers that are doing okay are under. You are always under the gun. You are always under time pressure. It's like continuously. I joke, I say now I get up in the mornings when I used to go to bed. And there's not much, there's about an hour and a half time difference. That's all between the two, So the fashion industry, when you're young, it's wonderful and unmarried and everything. But when you're not in your 20s anymore, the partying, you have to go to those parties, to the socials, to the functions, because you have to be seen. Otherwise, sort of that doesn't keep on either. So
so
I wasn't watching what I was.
Let me get this then. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you were in pretty good shape physically, right? I mean, you weren't like obese or anything like that. You were taking, you were exercising, you're doing tennis, you're doing that. So on the outside, people go, wow, this guy's pretty healthy, right? But you're also feeling this incredible stress. This stress is pushing on you in continuous ways. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, yes. I've never been obese. I've always been a relatively skinny person. Yeah. But yeah, from the outside, it might have looked as if everything was okay. But I never followed a nutritional plan or anything like that. So from the inside was not the way I looked from the outside.
So you're kind of, without knowing it, you're kind of a time bomb waiting to go off with all the pressure is what I get. Well, listen, I got to take a quick break. And the reason I'm asking this is because my friend that I lost this year to cancer, at the end, I was with her and she said, I said, what was the cause of this? Why couldn't you heal this? She says, because it was the stress. This is a person that was on health, nutrition, and eating vegan and eating properly and taking care of herself, but the stress got her. And this is an important piece. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. The station that makes you feel good.
Well, we'll get right back to my guest in just a second, but I want to give a shout out to some of my networks that really support this show to getting out worldwide. One is the UK Health Network, which of course I have the founder on the show today. And I just want to acknowledge that we are on UK Health Network. Also Triangle Magazine. We're putting our articles in that on a consistent basis. And also we have some other networks, E360 Network, BBS Network, and AMFM 247. So all of you guys, I want to give a kudos to you. Thank you so much. All right, back to my guest. Johann, okay, buddy. Listen, we're in the stress place. All right, you get the first diagnosis, you got a heart attack. That probably saved your life, by the way. Right?
I agree.
And now you got the second diagnosis. The radiotherapy is not working. What do you do?
Well, it's quite a position you're in. You get told you've got between 6 and 12 months to live. They tell you to go home to get your affairs in order. And that's literally what I did. I got on the bus. I went home. I made the biggest mistake of my life by not telling my wife, Rafaela, of, I call it my death penalty. I told her, of course, the cancer was back, but not of the 12 to 6 months. And I go where everybody tells you not to go, the internet. That's where I started. I knew the first option hadn't worked. So I thought to myself, okay, so fine, go and get another option or options, find them. You can find them somewhere. And
let me pause you there. Let me pause you because this is really important for my listeners right now. Listen, if you've got some incurable, quote, disease that you're, or a chronic illness, you have to take charge. You have to let go of your fears, step into courage, and take charge like Johann did to start researching and finding your path to healing 100%. That's just my state. I just want to let people know that. Go ahead, Johann. Okay, so you're doing the research.
I totally agree with you, Ken, because the difference between the first and the second diagnosis were worlds apart. As I said, the first one, it felt I was in a tumble dryer. Yeah. It was just everything. The second one, I'm sitting in my oncologist's office. She's telling me 6 to 12 months, all this. And I can hear my own voice in the back of my head saying, you're not going to die. Well, you are, but not from cancer and not now. Those literally, I could hear it. That feeling of not being part of the process had manifested. And I knew I had to become part of that process because let's face it, nobody is going to fight for your life the way you are. The doctors have hundreds of people like me that they're treating at the same time. They can't be involved with everybody on 100%. It's not possible. That's why what you've just said is so important. You have to become part of that process because if you want to survive, you're the only one that will do it 100%.
Let let me inject something else here. You know, my wife had a serious illness. It ended up in a hospital for several days last year. And fortunately, I was up at my sister's home. My sister's been a nurse for 30 years. So I would come back to her home every day, and she would give me a list of maybe 15, 20 questions every day to go back to the doctors with, right, the next day, to ask them. See, I think a lot of people are afraid of asking doctors questions. But if you've got something going on, that's what I love. I picked up what you said early on. I didn't ask the question. This is an important piece of this, right? Ask and ask until you get the answers you need. Go ahead, Johann.
Correct. Okay, so that's what I did in the internet. I asked and asked and asked, 7 months long, to be quite honest. Until one evening, it was actually 2:00 in the morning, I read a short sentence that said, cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated alkaline cellular environment. And immediately as I read it, Ken, it was like I was standing in a dark football stadium and somebody switched the lights on. It was unbelievable. I knew that second that I'd found my way out. I actually woke my wife at 2:00 in the morning and I said to her, Rafaela, I have found a way not to die. Because I just knew it. And it was something I'd never even heard of or thought of. It was nutrition and lifestyle changes. So what we did is we just started literally that morning, later on that morning, we started researching and implementing. And as we learned, we tried it, and some of the stuff worked and some didn't, etc., until about, and this I was really lucky, I have to admit, about 2 months into this period of this trial period, I had a feeling, I had a surge of energy. It's actually the only way I can describe it. I had a surge of energy, which at that stage was probably not much more than a 2-foot swell for the normal person. But for me, it was like I was surfing a tsunami. It was like the most unbelievable feeling. And I knew even more then that I was on the right path. So I became a vegetarian. 2 months later, I became a vegan. Today, I'm an alkaline vegan. I have been for about, must be almost 10 years now.
Well, tell us what does an alkaline vegan eat? What is an alkaline vegan? I haven't heard that terminology.
Alkaline, I can explain it really well, actually. So alkaline, everybody has a pH value, which is 7.2 is the neutral value, and then everything above that is alkaline and everything below that is acidic. Now, cancer, I have to mention this as well. We're not talking about the blood pH. Your blood pH you can't change. That is regulated by your body, and each person's blood pH is different. But on a cellular level, where the cancer is, you can manipulate it. You can go either into the neutral zone, into the above 7.2, into the acidic side.
Okay. So say that
what you eat.
Say that again. We cannot change our blood pH, but we can change the what did you say?
The pH level or on a cellular level.
On a cellular level. Wow. And can that be measured, by the way?
You can. It's I do it. I used to do it daily. I don't do it daily anymore. But it's a urine test that you can buy in a pharmacy.
Wow. Okay.
It's not as accurate as if you would do it at a doctor's and all that. But it's pretty good. Let's face it. The ones I had were like quite spot on, and I still do it once a week just to check that everything's okay, etc.
That's awesome.
So that means basically
so you're doing the testing, And, so your idea, the key here is to keep your body alkaline. So you're probably not drinking alcohols or putting coffee in your body, probably not putting sodas in your body, that type of thing. What do you put in your body?
Well, as I said, I'm not a nutritionist, but everything green that you can buy. So whether it's spinach, whether it's broccoli, artichokes, zucchinis, or I think we call them courgettes. You call them zucchinis.
There's a lot of people that don't like green stuff. They don't like spinach. Yeah. They don't like kale. They don't like broccoli. They don't like but that's the stuff that heals us, right? So any thoughts about helping people overcome their mindset if they have that? Of course, death might be a big reason to overcome that. Right?
With me, it of course it was. I had no choice, so it was actually quite easy. But I have a saying: if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's so true. And you must look at it from this angle. Everybody always says to me when I speak about this, they say, "Oh, but I'll have to give up alcohol or meat or chocolate or sugar." You mustn't look at it like that. You're not giving anything up. You're making space for something new. You have to put a positive turn on it. You have to. Otherwise, as I said, it was easier for me. I get it, because either die or change. So I changed. But a lot of people actually died and changed.
Yeah, but sometimes, I guess it would be a little easier for you because you knew this is life or death. It's I had a story around that. For me, I learned this. My latest book. I don't know where it is. Here it is. My latest book is called The Courage to Change Everything. It's daily strategies and essential wisdom to awaken our inner genius. Okay, I'll just stick it up on the screen real quick. So that's the book there, and courage to change everything. Now, what does that mean, right? It's like you did. You said, "All right, I'm willing to change everything I've learned because I need to heal. I need to grow." Did you throw out every single thing? No, you don't. But you added in what you needed on a daily basis to be able to make that change happen is what I get. And, for me, I was a meat eater for many years. I wasn't diagnosed as cancer, but I was 50 pounds overweight at the time. And, I decided to just give up red meat. And quite frankly, when I did that, this might have happened to you, Johann, when you gave up, your mind goes crazy. Like, what am I going to eat now? I need protein. So I started going to the store, and all of a sudden, with commitment, providence moves, right? The people, places, and things we need to show up to help us will be there when we're committed.
Absolutely.
So I was committed to letting go of red meat. And what happened is I learned about all these new foods I had never seen in my life. I bet you did too. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I meant by you're not giving up anything. You're making space for something new, for new experiences, culinary taste experiences. It's amazing. And health experience, because the one goes hand in hand with the other one.
It's true. For me, at the time I gave up eating that meat and I started losing the weight, I learned how to run again. I at 42, I started to learn to jog again, right? And eventually, I'm a triathlete these days still, but it led to a whole bunch of different things, different lifestyle, different everything, just by that one choice. And you made that choice too. You made a choice for life, and I made the choice for life.
Yeah. I mean, it's that simple. Cancer eats, cancer survives, cancer lives from sugar. And everything acidic that you put into your body turns to glucose. Very simply put, but that's the bottom line. So if you take all that sugar, all the glucose out, the cancer basically starves to death. In my case, it wasn't a quick fix. It took 2.5 years to get rid of everything. But I literally had it everywhere. So, that's the bottom line. later on, I still optimize my diet at the moment. I mean, I've about 8 months ago changed to, we only now drink distilled water. I only drink distilled water. And a lot of people throw their hands up in the air, but it's one of the purest form of water there is. It's amazing. There is a mineral thing attached to distilled water, but that you can supplement so easily that it's not an issue. So it's an ongoing process. That's also what I'm trying to say is you don't just change one thing and then say, okay, I've done it, let's stop now. It's a life journey.
Yeah,
It's
a lifestyle change, and it's a quest, is what it is. Healing is a quest, and if the quest takes you on a journey, and we heal mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That's the journey. And if you're only healing on you're just trying to heal the physical body, most of the time that's not going to work for you. You've got to also change your mindset. You've got to also heal the emotional stress. And there's a spiritual component to this. It's like you reset. A lot of people reset their purpose in life. They reset their values. They reset their connection with God. So it's in all levels. Yeah. Did you experience it? Yeah.
I use the quote to explain that from Mark Twain. He said there are two important days in every person's life: the day you're born and the day you find out why. And then literally, it's, I sometimes say what my health issues started, but now I don't call them health issues anymore. I call them my life's opportunity, because what I'm doing now is what I was born to do. The photography was wonderful and I enjoyed it, but this just has so much more value, has added so much more value to my life. And I'm hoping to many, many, many hundreds of thousands and millions of people's lives out there as well. So this is what it's all about. And it is an extension. It's not just, it didn't stay only with the nutrition by me. It's been scientifically proved now that stress acidifies your body. One espresso acidifies your body by 300%. I'm not talking about the sodas, the chocolates and that kind of stuff, So it's something you have to get into. If you go onto the internet and you type in alkaline food chart, you'll get about 1,000. Literally, there are so many out there. Find one that's easy to read, because some of them you need a degree in computer science to work out. But just that is the way to go. It's the only way to go. I tried. Part of that sentence is cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated, so sport, cellular environment. Very important. The physical part of it is very important, but you mentioned also the mental part of it, your attitude towards it. You've got to start saying.
Before we get into the mental part, I've got to take a quick break. So let's do that, and we come back. Let's dive into some of the beliefs, the changes that have to take place mentally to become unstoppable in your journey to heal your body. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our show today. We're calling this The Courage to Heal Cancer. And I'm speaking with my friend, Johann Ilgenfritz, and he is telling his story, but he's also giving us some wisdom, some understanding, some courage to move past this in your life. So I'm inspired. I know that. By the way, I meant to tell you, you did inspire me to go out and get some distilled water. And, I drank it, and I was, it was surprising to me. It was like so smooth. I was like, wow, this is much smoother than the hard water I've been drinking. And we filter our water. We've got tons of filters and all that stuff, right? So, because we're in San Diego, so we're at the end of the line of the Colorado River down here. So we want to make sure everything's filtered out. But distilled is even nicer. And I always use minerals anyway, so the supplement. Yeah. So it works out really well. All right, the mental state of this, right? listen, when people have that diagnosis, and I know when you got it, you might have felt, some people go to depression. They default to depression. Some people default to anger. Some people just get numb. But those are states that will keep you stuck. So how did you probably went into that for a while, one of those, and then you lifted yourself up. What was the mindset that you held or still hold that changes everything for you?
Yeah, you literally do go through everything. I did as well, but I always had that in the back, that voice, my voice in the back of my head saying you're not going to die from this. It's in a lot of people say that when you're given a time like 6 to 12 months, it's the wrong way of doing it. But and I'm sure for some people it is, but in my case, it really was a bit of a kick in the bum. I realized that if you want to survive this, and I wanted to more than anything in the world, I wanted to see my 2 boys grow up. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with my beautiful wife, that kind of stuff, So it really animated me. It really got me moving. But the actual change came once I got into that process of searching, of learning, of the physical fast, the fasting, the nutrition and all that stuff. And then came the more spiritual side of things. Today, it's actually unbelievable. If you had said to me 20 years ago, you meditate, I would have killed myself, fallen over laughing. I meditate on a daily basis now. The way I approach things have totally changed. As I said, stress, we all have stress. And there's very, very little chance of getting out of it. But you have to analyze it. You have to, there's a saying, if you think about things, there's a difference between thinking about something and thinking into something. If you think into something, you get answers. Evaluated results. That is wisdom. Is something that has been evaluated, whether it's for yourself or by somebody else, it doesn't matter. But that is wisdom. Is an evaluated response. So you've got to look at your life and you've got to think into it. I meditate now every day. I run. It's an extension of my meditation. It's not, I don't run with music. I don't run with other people. It's my time. I run only by myself. Affirmations play a huge, big part in it. I tried yoga. My wife says I look like a fallen over dead tree when I do yoga. And to be very honest with you, it feels like that to me. It doesn't work. So if it doesn't work for you, skip it. Find something else. We're not all the same. We don't respond in the same way to the same things. So find that thing, search it. It's a job. It's part of your life now. You have no choice. You've got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Well, you know what this advice that we're talking about here is not, of course, just for cancers. This advice is sage advice for whatever chronic illness you have, whatever you've been, quote, diagnosed with, right? Remember, the diagnosis is, somebody came up with that label, right, to try to understand what this is, or at least to label it so that we could understand it. But just like cancer, right, it has many symptoms and many different people, and shows up a lot of ways. Now, my teachers have always told me that there's only one disease on the planet, and that is acidity, right? It's the acidity that he's been talking about, right? So we have an acidic body, right? And so that creates all these other diseases, whether it shows up in your stomach or your liver or your foot or your brain, wherever it is. There's an acidic nature to this. And where's the acidity? Well, it can be mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, or all of them combined. It can be all of that. Absolutely. But there's a part where you start, and I love what Johann's saying here. There's a part where we start to, and I love the way you put it, instead of thinking about it, thinking through it. And so how do we think through it? Well, one of the books I wrote years ago was a book, I wrote the book on questions. And it's called Ask and You Will Succeed. And it's 1,001 questions and 35 different categories of life. Why is that important? Because most people have about the same 60,000 thoughts they do every day, is what they say. Well, 5 to 60,000, whatever it is, but there's a number out there that you have the same thoughts. Why is that? Because you basically are running on a program that you program yourself. And the way we break out of those programs through meditation, I love that, Johann, I'm a long-term meditator, and we also break through it with asking questions that empower us. Like Johann's question might have been something like, or I'm just making this up, what's the quantum breakthrough that I need to have to heal my body, right? Or what are the 3 steps I can take to find the source of this cause, of the cause of this cancer in my body? I want to know it. I want to know who I am. Things like that. Is that accurate for you?
Absolutely. I think one of still is today one of my driving forces is cause and effect, which is a natural law. This is not somebody sucked this out of their thumb kind of thing. If you change the cause, you will change the effect. Natural law. There's no getting around it. No way. And these vessels that we've been given, these bodies of ours, can really heal almost anything if you give it the right things to work with. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Ken, which is really important, is our internal language. You know, right from the beginning, after the second diagnosis, not the first, the second one, I never ever referred to it again as my cancer. If you listen to people that have had cancer or have cancer, they all refer to it as my cancer. Why do you want it? Why do you want to own it? I even write cancer sometimes with a K just to show my disrespect to it. It's a complete attitude that you have to have against it. Whatever it is, in my case, cancer, but it can be anything. It's seriously, it's just that internal language is so important. That you speak to yourself about 60,000 times a day has to correct.
Yeah. All right, listen, I'm going to take another quick break. When we come back, you talked about affirmations. If you have some affirmations you could give our audience, that would be awesome. I will also give a couple of them that will help you with the mindset of courage, the mindset to overcome and become unstoppable around these diagnoses that really, they're not, I love what you said, Johann. This isn't you. You're not a cancer. You may have had a symptom that is they call cancer, but that's not who you are. And when you find out, I love what you said, the Mark Twain quote, the day your 2 most important days, the day you're born and the day you find out who you are. That is powerful, right? Let's find out who we are today and really heal anything in our bodies. We'll be right back. We'll talk about affirmation.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Ken D. Foster. I'm talking with Johann Ilgenfritz, and we're talking about how to heal yourself, how to heal your body, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, how to step up and be vibrant again, right? And I love what you said. When you get conscious about this, when we become more aware, we expand our consciousness around this and allow ourselves to get out of our old thinking, or maybe the thinking that somebody else has told you, this is incurable, you'll always have it, this is this disease, you need to be on these drugs for the rest of your life. When you say, wait a second, that's their opinion. You listen to that inner voice that Johann listened to. Okay, you listen to the voices of truth, of courage, of wisdom, instead of the voices of fear, of greed, of disempowerment in your own life. When you stop listening to those voices, things change. Johann, affirmation, man. Let's talk about that because you went into that. It's powerful. And let's talk about some affirmations that would maybe help our audience.
Okay, I have one here. It's part of a bit longer one, but it's just a part of it that really strikes home. I went from believing that cancer was the cause of my illness to realizing it was merely a symptom of an already sick body. You look at it like that, everything changes. I just wanted to mention this really quickly. Only 5 to 10% of all cancer-related illnesses on the planet today is genetically inherited. That means 90 to 95% of it is because of our lifestyle. Just quick. That's just, I just wanted to mention that.
And by the way, let me plus that. Because even if they are inherited, quote unquote, right? And you can, now you know your genetics, now you can do preventative around that particular diagnosis. And that's coming in the world with Ancestry and some of the other, DNA testing apps and labs and stuff. So this is really important to know. Thank you for mentioning that. Listen, we only got a minute to go. Give me an affirmation.
Okay. Affirmation. I live in a kind, friendly, and safe universe, filled only with an abundance of excellent health, unbelievable wealth, happiness, and love. And everything that happens for me. I think that's one of the most powerful ones I have.
Say it one more time. We'll close the show with that. Go for it.
Okay. I live in a kind, friendly, and safe universe, filled only with an abundance of excellent health, unbelievable wealth, happiness, and love, where everything that happens for me.
I love it. Johann, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. UK Health Radio is his company. Go to ukhealthradio.com. Check it out. My show's on there. Hundreds of millions of listeners are listening to it. You should listen to it too. So we hope that you remain healthy and blessed like you've blessed us today. Thank you so much, Johann.
Thank you, Ken.
And for all of you, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Voices of Courage show today. This has been an amazing show. Hope you'll tell your family, your friends, anybody that's going through or suffering with disease of any kind, have them listen to this. Have them get inspired. Have them take their life to the next level. And until next time, continue to search for and seek to be able to see the unseeable and know the unknowable and do the impossible. Take care.